upon the cities and towns of Germany. A shortage of night fighters also hindered the Himmelberg system, preventing its better use. The Schlagermusik, or jazz music, consisted of a set of two cannon positioned in the roof of the night fighter in between the cockpit and the tail. These were angled at 45 degrees and faced forward. The weapon was not received well at first, but capable pilots used it to excellent effect, and its usage was increased. Taking advantage of the lack of armaments beneath an enemy aircraft, the night fighter would fly underneath an enemy bomber and fire a burst from the twin cannon, which would usually be aimed at its wings and fuel tanks. There were great dangers, however. Many night fighter aircraft were taken down with the enemy plane as it burst into flames. The Helle Nachtjagd, or night fighting by searchlight system, was introduced in 1940 as a measure against the increasing number of Allied air raids being conducted over Germany. It would prove to be the biggest threat to Allied bomber crews during the entire war, and more than 2,000 Allied planes were lost. The tactic was deadly. The radar system would detect the incoming enemy bombing formations, the belt of searchlights would illuminate the attacking bomber formations from below, and the night fighters would close in and begin to stalk their prey. They would pick an individual target and close in behind it before attacking it with their powerful cannon. The searchlight belts were positioned along the coast from Flensburg in northern Germany, across to Holland and the Belgian border, covering the Ruhr and Aachen region. The belt continued through Luxembourg and onto the eastern part of France near Nancy and Dijon. Another belt was situated further inland, covering the approaches to Berlin. It was Major Wolfgang Falk's successful experiment in the use of planes for nighttime fighting that saw the formation of the first night fighter unit. Night Fighter Group 1 came into being on July the 20th, 1940, shortly before Oberst Kammhuber's new Night Fighter Division, which operated under Kesselring's Luftflotte II. By the end of 1940, 3 separate night fighter groups had been established, all with a nominal strength of 200 aircraft, although the number available for operations was nearer 100. The majority was situated around major cities and the Ruhr industrial area. Others were sited to cover the Eastern Front and areas such as the Ploesti oil fields. The Wilde Sau, or wild boar tactic, was the idea of Major Hans-Joachim Hermann. He suggested the use of ordinary day fighters such as the Me-109 and FW-190 in the night fighter role, and after trials, this was introduced under the newly created JG-300 commanded by Hermann. The tactic was simple and would become a main feature of Germany's defensive battles in the latter stages of the war. The principle was similar to the Himmelberg system, in that use would be made of the searchlights in illuminating the enemy bomber formations. The planes under Hermann's control would then fly high above the bombers and attack at will, using visual identification methods only. This unit's success would see the formation of new wild boar units, and also an entire new fighter division that would have Hi-O Hermann at its head. This tactic was not always popular, however. Pilots were not trained for this type of operation, and single-engine fighters were not ideally